won a natty, red shirt, go to Olympics, win a medal, come back, win a natty. That's not spoken enough. Tell me about that sequence.
Oh. I think, again, long answer, lots of time to reflect. She's a professional. Yeah, she does a great job. But lots of time to reflect on that process.
Right.
I think in our culture, now that the Olympics are coming up, like if I could kind of speak on behalf of all Olympians right now, I think what we see as the traditional consumer of the Olympics is, Bob Costas and John Williams music playing and dun 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 dun. And it's like it makes you cry, and you see the cool story, the torch, and you see the story about the gymnast that's her 5th Olympics and she's from Romania and all you hear all the stories,
rings get
and
you fired up.
and you're just like sucked in. You're like sitting there, you find yourself watching archery at 2:30 in the morning. It's just this thing, and it pulls you in. But you have to understand that when you're there, you don't see that.
Right.
And you just see your job, and you don't have a chance to listen to the stories and hear John Williams and like watch all the success. You have like a closed channel feed of the games that are happening where there's no announcing, there's no nothing. It's just like the feed.
Right.
So you can watch some of that in the village with the other people from the other sports. But what we see is a blip on these people's radar. Like it's a 2-week portion of their journey.
I know.
Where we come back, I think our second day we're going out to go to train, and everybody's got their gear on, and we see these people coming back into the village, and they're in plain clothes. And so people walking into the village in plain clothes with an athlete credential, that means they're done. So they're on day 2 and they're done. You think about like an archery or a shooting or a swimming or a track, like your 30 seconds.
I get it.
On the stage, you get it, right? Based on what you did. You fly down that thing once, you didn't go fast enough.
It's over.
It's over. Go home. Bye. Thanks for playing.
Yeah.
And so you climb this metaphorical mountain, and you're just climbing, click, 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 click. And then it's over, and it's just sheer face of a cliff. You fly right off. Your support is gone. Yep. Your teammates are gone. Your mission is gone. And so there's a lot that needs to be done in terms of like how to kind of reacclimate people back into normal life post-Olympics. But also just like the American culture of like second place is first loser has always like gotten me. Like the gold medal count is the only thing that matters. We got to beat the Chinese and the Russians. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, what about the person that got 5th place who was there, but
didn't get any hardware,
but like was there,
trained their entire life to get there.
Yep.
And made it finally, and then
cool loser.
Yeah,
you're trash.
Right.
You suck because you didn't get a gold medal and all this other stuff. And I think that that's something that we could improve upon culturally. But again, like America, that's not really our thing.
Well, women's water polo has got on
women's
lock
water
now.
polo it's changed, but my experience was much different than the one that they have. But I think even just taking a time to recognize that person's humanity, even when like. Watching college football this year was fun because like there were a lot of kids that screwed up more. Like I always marvel watching college football, like how professional they can be.
Right.
And like these kids that are still going to class and doing all the things.
20 years old.
Yeah. And they're 20 and they're out there just slinging it and like doing great things. And you're like, wow, this is really impressive. And like you have an entire athletic department on your back, and that's got to be that's a lot of pressure.
Of course.
You know what I mean? It's a lot of pressure for these kids. I recognize that. And I've just always marvel at how they hold their stuff together, but then you see some of the wheels fall off. Like I think there was like an Iowa, Nebraska? It was like towards the end of the season, and both quarterbacks were just losing their minds, and the kickers were missing, and you're just like, oh my God, like they finally look like 20-year-old kids out here instead of professionals. Yeah. And so I think sometimes we forget with Olympians, with athletes in general, that these people are human beings and they have lives and families and bills and stuff, things going on that they've got to take care of. And that's something that we got to remember, that that's why it's so cool that these people can do the things they do, is because they're human.
Yeah.
But the Olympics, again, long answer, sorry, but going out there was tremendous. I was 22 years old. You
were 22 years old in 2004, right?
2004.
How do you have the conversation of like, I'm playing for UCLA, hey, I think I'm going to make the national team. Mm-hmm. Like, what was the conversation like with your coach when you had to say, hey, we just came off a natty, I want to go try out for the national team, and then you decided to come back. Like,
Mm-hmm.
how did that? I want to know that day.
Well, the nice thing was the coach of the Olympic team at the time, Guy Baker, was the UCLA coach who coached Adam Krikorian, and then Krikorian took over at UCLA. So it was one of those like,
It was a good network to be in at the time.
yeah, but it was like kind of like a little,
Little triangle.
sport incestuous, like kind of like, we have this connection and we understand what it takes. So it wasn't like bartering with somebody who was a stranger. But Guy would communicate with Adam, like, and with all the other college coaches for that matter, like, hey, I'm interested in having these players train full time and be with me for training during this time period. It'd be great if you could release them and let them come over. And Adam's always understood, like, this is what it's all about.
Of course.
So begrudgingly, he sent a lot of us. And that's what happened in 2004 was like 4 of us were training with the national team. 4 UCLA gals were training with the senior team. Yeah. And then, so we weren't there to play
Right.
with our college teams. That's why they didn't
But
do
you got to
super well.
redshirt and do this.
Yeah. Redshirting to do that.
Crazy.
Right. So we went and did that. So it was fine. Like, it was good. Obviously Adam they didn't have the best year that year, but it was for a good reason. And then we came back in 2005 and went like 33-0 and won the whole thing. So it was nice to have that influx of
That's
those
such
4
a crazy
people back.
transition, though.